Hey guys, tonight we slip into a forgotten corner of Victorian England. You're in London, but not the polished postcard version with gas lamps and top hats. No, this is a damp back alley where shoes squish and fog eats the light, the kind of place you wouldn't look at twice in the daytime. And tonight, you're renting a room here. Your footsteps echo as you cross slick cobblestones, clutching a satchel with everything you own. The street smells like smoke, spilled porter, and last week's fish guts. Somewhere nearby, a cat hisses at something you hope isn't human. You reach the house, a leaning brick building with a half-rotted door. The number above it is painted on a bit of old tin. Welcome to your new home. You won't believe this, but these places, called lodging houses, were actually the better option for many working folks. At least you got a roof and a key. Better than the workhouse. All right, before you get too cozy, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe, but only if your heart says yes. Tell me where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. Dim the lights, get that fan going for some background vibes, and let's chill into tonight's little adventure. You knock, no one answers, knock again. Finally, the door creaks open on its own. So slowly, it makes your shoulders rise. You step inside. It smells like boiled onions and wet socks. The hallway is lined with coats and cloaks that haven't been claimed in months. A gas light flickers above, barely illuminating the crooked stairs and the threadbare runner nailed in place. You feel watched. You probably are. A clock ticks somewhere deep inside, each tick like a reminder that time moves differently here, slower, stuffier. The floorboards creak underfoot like they're warning the others, new ones here. This house used to be a gentleman's residence. 3 stories, sash windows, proper cornices. But that was before his widow sold it off and before it was carved into bits. Each room split and split again until now. It's a honeycomb of strangers, each with a kettle, a trunk, and a locked door. There's no bell to ring, just a greasy velvet rope hanging next to the stairs. You pull it and hear a far-off jangle, and then footsteps. The woman who appears at the top of the stairs looks carved from oak, solid, pale, like she hasn't been outside since the Queen took the throne. She's wearing a dark gown buttoned to the throat, and her hair's pulled back so tight you can hear it squeak when she tilts her head. She doesn't greet you, just sniffs, points, and says, "You're the 8 shilling." You nod. She turns, muttering about lodgers who don't pay, and how you'll get no second warning if you smoke in the bed. Her voice vanishes as she climbs, expecting you to follow. You do. Each step of the staircase groans beneath your boots. The banister is sticky, not with polish. You pass closed doors. One has a child's chalk drawing near the base. Another has a deep gouge across it, like someone tried to claw their way out. You pretend not to notice. Upstairs, the hallway is narrower. The carpet ends halfway, leaving rough planks and scattered coal dust. A curtain covers one doorway. Another has paper instead of glass in its window pane. A sliver of candlelight leaks from under one door, along with the low hum of a lullaby. Though no one in there sounds soothed. The landlady pauses before the last room on the right. "This one's yours. Don't waste the matches." She opens the door. You brace yourself. The smell hits first. Old bed sheets, dried tea leaves, and something faintly metallic. The room is just wide enough for a cot, a wash basin, and a chair that's seen things no chair should see. The wallpaper is peeling like sunburnt skin. A water stain curls across the ceiling like a sleeping lizard. On the nightstand, a single candle sits beside a cracked saucer. The bed has one pillow, flat damp in one corner. You try to speak. She's already halfway down the stairs. You're alone, and somehow you're not. You close the door softly, but even that seems to echo. Then the latch clicks, a tired, metallic snap like a final word. You set your bag down, and its thud feels loud enough to wake the queen. The walls here aren't just thin, they're porous. Every sound has a life of its own. You sit on the edge of the bed. The springs protest, high-pitched and judgy. You shift your weight and realize the mattress has a slight tilt to it, as if someone once upon a time lay on it night after night, curling to the same corner like a drained leaf circling a drain. You find yourself involuntarily drawn to the spot. By candlelight, you examine the rest of the room. There's graffiti etched into the back of the door, initials, numbers, something in French, probably someone bragging or bargaining. A few names have been scratched out so hard the wood splintered. A narrow chest of drawers stands beneath a crooked mirror. You open one drawer and find, no joke, half a playing card and a child's marble. The drawer smells of tobacco and lavender. You shut it quickly. There's a single nail on the wall for your coat. You hang it up and stare at it, wondering how many others have done the exact same thing, each thinking they'd stay here. Just for a little while. That's the most dangerous lie in a lodging house, just until payday, just until winter's over. The house always outlasts your intentions. You move toward the window. It sticks. You force it open and peer into the alley below. There's a dim light in the building across, and a shadow passes. Just one, then gone. No stars above, just a sheet of dark clouds holding in the city's breath. Downstairs, someone laughs, sharp, cracked, almost bark-like. Then silence again. Not even a closing door. You light your candle. The flame catches slow like it too is reluctant to be here. But when it finally stands tall, it casts trembling shadows across the room, revealing something new. A small patch of wallpaper near the bed has been peeled back deliberately. Someone was checking for bugs or hiding something. You gently lift the corner. Nothing but cracked plaster. Still, you smooth it back down like you've touched something sacred. Lodging house walls have memories. You're not the first to sleep here, and odds are you're not the first to check for listening holes. A faint knock comes. Not at your door. Somewhere else, then footsteps. A murmured voice, then the unmistakable scrape of a chair being dragged. Maybe someone's hosting a late-night visitor. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the room itself shifting, stretching its bones. You decide to lie down, fully clothed. The blanket smells like ironed wool and stale bodies. You pull it to your chin and breathe shallow. The floorboards above creak in rhythm, footsteps pacing back and forth and back and forth. You wonder if that's the man who never leaves his room, the one who gets food delivered through a slot in the door, the one no one ever sees. Your eyelids grow heavy, but the room won't let you drift just yet. There's one more sound, soft and quick, like fingernails brushing wood. You sit up. Silence. Nothing there. You lie back, this time facing the door. A cobweb dances in the candle draft, and just before sleep creeps in, you realize you never saw a key for the inside of your door. You wake to the scent of cold smoke and cabbage water. Morning in the lodging house doesn't arrive gently. It barges in through the cracks around the window and under the door. Someone is frying something downstairs that probably shouldn't be fried. Footsteps shuffle overhead. A baby cries. And then from somewhere along the corridor, a voice yells, Gertrude, that's my bloody cup. You sit up in the bed that now feels like it's trying to keep you and stretch your limbs with a cautious stiffness because every surface here might be hiding a splinter, a bite, or a resident insect. As you swing your legs over the side of the bed, there's a shuffle in the hallway. Then a face appears. Not at your door, through your door. The peephole has no glass, just a round hole at eye level, and someone's looking in. You freeze, a breath, then silence. And then, like fog slipping away, the presence is gone. No footsteps, just that old sweet silence again. You get dressed fast. The floor is cold and your boots are damp from yesterday's journey. As you lace them up, your stomach growls, and you remember breakfast isn't included here. Not unless you've struck some private deal with the landlady, and those come with strings. You step out into the hallway and blink as your eyes adjust to the dimness. There she is, waiting, your landlady. She's in the same dress as last night, or maybe she owns 12 of the same. She's holding a steaming cup, her own breakfast most likely, and offers a brief nod. "Alive, are you?" she says. "Good. Rented you Thursday. No late, not again. You haven't even been here 24 hours. You try to smile politely. She turns and floats away down the stairs, somehow managing to make her old wool slippers sound like boots on stone. You descend after her, careful not to step on the spots where the stair tread is worn to nothing. The hallway smells different now. More life in it. Doors are open. A woman with a red kerchief wraps her hair in the mirror by her door. A child darts past your legs barefoot. Someone coughs hard in the parlor. Then, down near the kitchen, a man sits slumped in a chair with his head in his hands. He doesn't look up. No one else seems to notice him. You step lightly into the cramped front room where a dented kettle sings on a small iron stove. Several tenants are already gathered. A man with soot-stained fingers grunts a hello. A girl, you'd guess late teens, maybe younger, gives you a once-over, judging what sort of lodger you'll be. You offer a polite nod. She turns away unimpressed. The kettle spits, and then as if summoned by scent alone, the landlady returns. "Tea's for the house," she says. "Bread yours to find." You pour some into a cracked mug and step aside. That's when you spot him sitting perfectly upright by the window as an older gentleman in a waistcoat, reading a newspaper so old the dates curled, his mustaches waxed, his boots polished. He doesn't look like he belongs here, which is exactly why no one talks to him. His silence is armor, the kind worn by men who've fallen far and tend to rise again eventually. You find a seat by the stove, warming your hands around the mug. The girl leans in, nods toward the upstairs. "She watches," she says softly. "Even when she's not watching, you'll see." You raise an eyebrow. "Who?" She smiles. "Who do you think?" You take a slow sip of the tea, which tastes like it's been brewed with dust and suspicion. Still, it's warm, and in a place like this, warmth is currency. Around the room, tenants move like drifting ghosts, close but never touching. You're new, so they clock your presence without acknowledging it, the way animals do when a new one is added to the cage. The landlady reappears with uncanny timing, holding a small tin ledger. She settles into the armchair like a crow onto a perch, flipping it open with fingers stained from ink or maybe from something else. One by one, she calls names. Turner. A woman in slippers steps forward and hands over a coin purse. Evans. A cough answers. Then a man shuffles in from the hallway. When she says Miller, no one responds. She tuts and draws a red line across the page, thick and final. You're close enough to see she's written beside it, 2 days late, warn. In the corner of that page, tiny lettering reads, 4 rooms, 14 lodgers, 3 warnings issued. You wonder what happens after 3. The girl next to you leans in again, voice low. The red ones get moved. If there's a bed in the coal room, that's where you'll sleep next. Your eyes flick up to the ceiling where soot from the stove has blackened the plaster like a dark cloud. You suddenly remember the man you saw slumped in the chair earlier. He's gone. No one mentions it. Later, upstairs, you pass your landlady again. She's inspecting a splintered stair rail with the intensity of a detective at a crime scene. Then, just under her breath, she mutters, "I told them no more boots on the 3rd step." What that means, you don't ask. Back in your room, something has shifted. Not moved exactly, just shifted. Your satchel is now a few inches from where you left it. The curtain is half drawn. When you remember pushing it fully open, a different smell hangs in the air. Not rot, not mold, something faint like old soap and violets. You don't mention it. That night, as you lie in bed, staring at the ceiling stain that looks disturbingly like a screaming face if you squint, you think back to the man downstairs with a waxed mustache. You hadn't seen him leave, and when you checked the hallway mirror afterward, there was only a reflection. Maybe he's like the furniture passed from tenant to tenant, or maybe he just rents silence and nothing else. Around midnight, you hear footsteps outside your door again. Then a soft knock. 2 taps. You stay very still. Then another knock. This time at the room beside you. Then silence. Then a whisper. You still in there? Your heart kicks, but not from fear. From something else. Recognition. That voice, female, uncertain, was speaking to your room. Then soft footfalls retreat down the hall. You lie awake for hours, piecing together a truth you didn't want to admit. This house isn't watching you. It's waiting for you to fit in. And once you do, you might never leave. The next morning, your landlady informs you with no hint of apology that one of the rooms is open if you'd prefer something less exposed. You don't ask what she means. You just follow her up the stairs, past a narrow window that lets in a sickly shaft of gray light to a door with a brass number 7 barely hanging by a screw. She doesn't offer a key, just says, "Don't break the basin," and walks off, her slippers flapping like wet birds on the floorboards. You step inside. This room is wider, a luxury. 2 windows, though only one opens, and even that requires the strength of a miner and the patience of a saint. There's a hearth, too, though long unused, and a rusted kettle by the grate filled with dust and mouse droppings. The wallpaper here is different. A blue floral print that was once cheerful but now looks like it died decades ago. A square of mismatched paper near the corner suggests a hole patched hastily. You avoid looking too closely. There's a wardrobe tall, wooden, and humming. Not literally, but somehow it radiates presence. It looms in the corner like it knows something about you. You try the handle. Stuck a tug. It gives a groan and opens with a breath of old perfume and something sour. Inside, a wire hanger, a broken umbrella, and a tattered hatbox with initials you don't recognize. You shut the door gently, too gently, as if not to wake something. You glance around and notice the previous tenant left behind a teacup on the windowsill, still stained with the shadow of its last brew. You sit on the bed. The mattress is better, if by better you mean less damp, and the view outside includes more than just bricks. You can see a sliver of a garden below. Dead vines, a toppled wheelbarrow, a single shoe. You begin to unpack. As you fold your shirt into the drawer, you notice it sticks halfway. Something's caught. You reach inside and tug. A paper. It's a note. The handwriting is scrolled as if written in haste or trembling fear. It reads, "This room is not the better one. Ask about the man in the attic. No name, no date, just that." You stare at it for a while, then fold it and slip it behind the cracked mirror. From downstairs, a piano chord echoes, wrong, abrupt, and out of tune. You step into the hallway and peer toward the source. There's no piano in this house. You turn to go back inside and notice the door opposite yours is slightly ajar. No number, just the edge of a threadbare curtain moving in the draft. You approach slowly, lean in, and just before you touch the door, it shuts with a snap. Not a slamming gust, a snap, as if someone had been watching and chose that precise moment to close it. You back away. Suddenly, the small size of your new room seems like a blessing. Fewer walls, fewer secrets. That night, you lie awake again. The wardrobe creaks every so often, like it's adjusting to your presence. The mirror fogs slightly even though it's cold. You dream of vines creeping through cracks, of someone tapping Morse code through the wardrobe doors, and of a voice, calm, brittle, whispering. You chose the better room, didn't you? You wake with a jolt, not from a sound, but from the absence of it. The house is silent, oppressively so. No footsteps, no clatter from the kitchen, not even the usual chorus of early morning coughs. You sit up and glance toward the window. It's still dark, a kind of heavy pre-dawn gray that flattens everything into the same dull shade. You check the clock on the mantelpiece, stopped at 2:43. Its tick must have given up sometime in the night. Rubbing your eyes, you decide to fetch some water. The jug on your washstand is empty, the porcelain chipped. The landlady said there's a tap in the yard, which means going downstairs, which means passing that door across the hall. You open yours slowly, not wanting to wake anyone or anything. The hall greets you with the usual smell of coal dust and mildew, though now there's a hint of vinegar, as if someone's been cleaning or covering something up. You glance at the door opposite, still shut, still unmarked. As you descend, you pass the second-floor landing and hear a faint click behind you. You whirl around, nothing, but the hallway curtain flutters slightly without wind. Down in the yard, the cold hits your lungs like a slap. You find the outdoor tap near a pile of ash buckets and broken crockery. The spout groans, then spurts water that smells faintly of iron. You fill the jug and turn to go. That's when you notice it. A second shoe, the same style, same size as the one you saw yesterday in the garden. You look up to the window of your room. It's open. You're sure you closed it. Back inside, the silence has broken. The house has resumed its gentle groaning and occasional knocks, as if it took a breath and let it out. You climb the stairs faster now, cradling the cold jug. At your landing, the opposite doors open just a sliver. This time, you don't approach. You step backward into your room, shut the door, and slide the bolt you found tucked behind the curtain rod. Yes, there is a bolt. You hadn't noticed it before. You sleep poorly. Shadows stretch strangely across the ceiling. At one point, you dream that the wardrobe opens and a man steps out wearing your clothes, smiling with your mouth. When you wake, the wardrobe door is ajar just slightly. You don't check inside. Instead, you open the note again, the one warning you about the attic. You hadn't seen any stairs to an attic. Not yet. Later that afternoon, you overhear something. The landlady speaking in her usual stern tone to someone you can't see. No, the attic's locked for a reason. You want a room? You take the ones below. If he was meant to be gone, he'd be gone. Gone? The rest of the day you can't focus. You keep thinking about that wardrobe, about the note, about the missing tenants that no one speaks of, about how easy it is in a place like this to disappear one shoe at a time. By dusk, you're back at the washstand, staring at yourself in the cracked mirror. You look different, paler perhaps, or maybe the mirror remembers too many faces. Outside your door, footsteps pause, and then softly, a knock, 2 taps. Same as before, you freeze. But this time, a second knock follows, then a whisper. Wrong room. The footsteps fade. Your candle flickers out, and for a few long seconds you swear the wardrobe is breathing. You wake to the sound of chalk on slate, not a child's scribble. No, this is slower, rhythmic, calculated, the kind of writing that sounds like it wants to be heard. You sit up fast, heart already thudding. Morning sunlight, such as it is, filters through the grimy window and paints your floorboards in pale yellow. You stare at the wardrobe closed. But wasn't it slightly open last night? You slide out of bed and press your ear to the door. The hallway beyond is quiet, but you know better now. Silence isn't safe here. Silence listens. You dress quickly, deciding to keep your boots on today, even indoors. The floor creaks less when you're ready to run. Downstairs, the communal table is already surrounded. Lodgers sip weak tea and nibble bread like prisoners, rationing their last meal. No one speaks, not until the landlady enters with a small tin box. She sets it on the table with a clunk, opens the lid. Inside a stack of yellowing cards, each with a name, a room number, and a set of rules printed in fading ink. You recognize yours immediately. Room 7, no fires without permission, no guests after sundown, 1 coal allowance per week. You glance at the others. Room 3 has 7 rules. Room 9 has 10. And 1 card just marked attic has a single line. No entry even if invited. You stare. The landlady snaps the lid shut. Anyone found breaking the term, she says, will be removed. No refund. No exceptions. She says this with the calm certainty of someone who's enforced it before, and you don't doubt that removed means exactly what it sounds like. Later, as you climb the stairs, you notice something new. Above the second-floor landing is a thin door, smaller than the rest. You hadn't seen it before. It blends into the wood paneling, barely marked except for a small keyhole and 3 rusted nail heads in the shape of a triangle. You reach up. Locked. No surprise. But what is surprising is the faint trace of chalk dust along the floor beneath it, like someone had been copying something through the cracks. You retreat to your room and sit on the bed, feeling the air shift around you. It's time to understand the rules, not the printed ones, the real ones. Because the landlady's terms aren't just about cold and quiet, they're about control. Her house is a system and every rule is a test, not for morality but for compliance. Can you follow without asking why? Can you adapt without complaint? You try to remember all the things she said so far. No boots on the 3rd step. Don't break the basin. Rent's due Thursday. But none of these rules are written down. They're spoken, measured, observed, and enforced. You open the wardrobe half expecting to find something new. Nothing. Still, You stare at the back panel, particularly at one knot in the wood, just about eye level. It's darker than the rest, slightly raised. You press your finger to it. It sinks just barely like a button. You hear a click somewhere behind the wall, then a draft from above. You pull your hand back, heart skittering. The draft is unmistakable now, a thread of cool air drifting down from above. It carries with it the smell of something long undisturbed, old wood, candle soot, and a hint of dried flowers. You glance again at the wardrobe, still closed, still lifeless, but your ears are straining for the source of that click. You return to the hallway. The attic door remains shut, its triangular pattern of nails catching the morning light like a warning sign. You lean in, pressing your ear gently to the wood, a sound, soft like fabric, moving. Then silence. Then a voice, faint female, didn't sign for this. You recoil. Voices in the attic are not part of any lodging agreement. You descend quickly, unsure if you're chasing answers or running from them. Either way, the ground floor feels safer. At least people are awake down here, talking, making noise, existing. In the front room, a few lodgers have gathered again. The girl in the red kerchief is peeling a bruised apple with a knife that looks far too sharp for fruit. She sees your face and smirks. "You heard it, didn't you?" she asks without turning. You hesitate. Heard what? She slices through the apple's skin with a single flick. They always hear it in the second week. That's when the house starts asking who you are. You start to respond, but another voice chimes in from the soot-fingered man near the fireplace. "Best not to listen too hard," he says, eyes fixed on the flames. "People vanish faster that way." The girl giggles, especially the ones who think they're special. You excuse yourself and head to the rear corridor, the part of the house that leads to the landlord's room. Not that anyone's ever seen it open, but maybe the answers are in the rules, the real ones. The corridor is dimmer than the rest, lit by one flickering gas sconce. A crooked frame on the wall catches your eye. Inside, a list of printed house rules behind cracked glass. You read them aloud under your breath. No loud noises after sundown. No guests without prior consent. Rent in advance. No credit. Damage will be deducted from deposit. And you stop. The last line is different. Smaller font. Almost invisible in the fading light. If you receive an invitation to the attic, do not respond. Your breath fogs the glass. Back upstairs, you find yourself drawn once more to that narrow door above the second floor. Not to open it, no, just to look, to know. But this time, the door is ajar. Not open, not flung wide, just slightly ajar, enough for you to see that beyond it is a staircase, steep and narrow, leading upward into a space that smells of wax and dust and something faintly sweet. You should walk away. Instead, you step forward, one foot, then another. The stair groans beneath your weight, each step like a question. Halfway up, you pause and glance back. The hallway behind you is empty, but below on the landing stands your landlady, still, silent, watching. She doesn't call out, doesn't move, but her expression says everything. You've just broken a rule you didn't know existed. And the attic, it was waiting for you. The air shifts as you cross the threshold, heavier, quieter. Time itself seems to thicken as if the attic sits just outside the ordinary dimensions of the house. You pause on the top step where a single low beam nearly cracks your forehead. Ahead, the narrow room stretches farther than it should, longer than the footprint of the house below suggests. The floorboards creak, but not under your feet. No, these sounds are slower elsewhere, as if the attic is exhaling. Responding to your presence, you scan the room. Dust hangs in the air like fog in a jar. The ceiling slopes low, pressing downward with a kind of gentle menace. There are trunks up here, old iron latch things stacked like forgotten coffins. One is open inside a row of ledger books identical in size tied with faded ribbon. You take a step. The boards sigh. A faint rustle answers from deeper within the shadows. You freeze. Then, from behind a curtain of yellowing muslin at the far end, a voice murmurs, male, thin. I told her, "Never rent the blue room again." You back away, but the attic has shifted. The stairwell is no longer visible. Your hands grope for something familiar. Walls, beams, anything. You find a desk instead, small with a cracked leather blotter and a dried-up inkwell. There's a single sheet of parchment on the surface, its top edge curled like it's trying to retreat. You read, "Room 7, last occupied by J.H. moved after breach. Status unresolved." Your chest tightens beneath that line in different handwriting. "Mirror observed movement without subject." The wardrobe. You try to move, but your feet feel rooted from somewhere behind you. That voice returns closer now. She broke the mirror rule. That's why the attic called her back. You whirl around. No one, just another trunk. This one, open and empty. You stagger back toward where the stairs should be, hands brushing the wall, and then just as the darkness feels ready to collapse inward, a hand grabs your arm. Firm, real pulls. Suddenly, you're in the hallway again. The narrow door slams shut behind you with a wooden thud that shakes the floorboards. You fall to your knees, breath ragged. A pair of shoes stands in front of you, polished, worn. You look up. It's the mustached man from the front room, the one who never speaks. Now he does. "You shouldn't have gone up," he says, "but it's good that you came back." His voice is dry like old pages turning. Then he leans in. "She's testing you." "Who?" you rasp. He gives a tired smile. "The house," he says, and without another word, he walks away. Upstairs, not down. You don't sleep that night. The wardrobe stays shut. The mirror fogs on its own. And the rules, you realize they don't exist to protect the house from you. They exist to protect you from the house. By morning, your thoughts are frayed like the hem of an overwashed shirt. You don't leave your room right away. You sit fully dressed, watching the wardrobe, waiting for it to move. It doesn't. But the silence around it feels watchful, curious. Eventually, hunger wins. You descend to the kitchen, but today the house has changed its rhythm. The stove is cold, the kettle is gone. No one is sitting at the table. You glance out the back window. No wheelbarrow, no vines, no second shoe, just the gray London morning pressing against the panes. You hear voices in the front room. You follow them. Inside, a man you've never seen before stands by the fire, tall with a too-clean collar and a notebook in his hand. He looks like someone who doesn't belong, which ironically makes him the most suspicious person in the house. He's speaking with the landlady in a low voice. You can't catch every word, but you hear enough. Disappearances again. Irregular entries in the rent book. The landlady shakes her head. Lies. Stories from the girls. They don't understand how things work here. He scribbles in his notebook. You clear your throat. Both heads turn. The man studies you carefully. His eyes are too still. New tenant. You nod. Any unusual experiences? He asks like a physician about prescribed leeches. You consider your answer. The attic, the voice, the wardrobe, the note. Then you say simply, "No more than expected." He seems to like that. Jot down. If anything changes, he says, tell me. I'll be around. He hands you a card. There's no name, just a symbol. A triangle of dots like the nails above the attic door. You slide it into your pocket. The landlady watches you the whole time, smiling but not kindly. Later that day, you notice the hallway outside. Room 3 smells like bleach and roses, a bad sign. That usually means a tenant has left abruptly. You knock, no answer. The door's cracked open, you peer inside. Empty but not clean. A single teacup on the floor upside down. You back away. In your own room, you finally examine the mirror again. The crack has grown, and behind the splintered line, the reflection shifts ever so slightly out of sync. A half-second lag. You raise your hand. Your reflection does too, but only after a beat. You stare into your own eyes and feel the weight of every previous tenant watching through the glass. You whisper, I'm still here. And your reflection whispers back, not with words but with breath, fogging just enough to form one shape before vanishing. Rule 4. You check your original card. There is no Rule 4. The printed list ends at 3. That night, while lying in bed, you remember something the mustached man said. She's testing you. What if Rule 4 isn't written because it's different for every tenant? What if Rule 4 is the one you break without knowing? You reach for the card he gave you, the triangle of dots. You wonder if you've already failed the test, if the attic let you leave because it's not done with you yet, and somewhere deep inside the house, past every creaking beam and splintered stair, something turns a page. The next morning, the cough returns. Not yours. The hallway is alive again with wheezing, deep, damp, chest-rattling sounds that echo off the wallpaper like muffled gunfire. It starts in the early hours, first from room 2, then room 5, then below the stairs. Different pitches, different rhythms, but always the same wet rattle. You sit on your bed, still wrapped in a thin blanket, listening to it grow. A chorus of lungs in revolt. Downstairs, you find the girl in the red kerchief again. She's hunched over a basin washing a blood-stained handkerchief. Her eyes are rimmed red. Bad air, she mutters. Always worse after fog. You glance out the window. The fog hasn't lifted since you arrived. In fact, you're not sure you've seen proper daylight at all. I thought it was just the coal smoke, you say. She laughs without humor. Coal don't make you spit blood. She dips the handkerchief again and adds, they say it's the plastered dust from the old walls gets in your throat when you sleep. She doesn't look up. That's when you begin to notice how many people are coughing now. Not just one or two, but nearly everyone. The young mother on the second floor. The old sailor in room 8. Even the stoic gentleman with the waxed mustache has started clearing his throat more often, and the landlady never coughs, never even sniffles. You spot her in the hallway later, winding a watch around her wrist, one of those tiny ones with a face yellowed by time. She sees you staring and smiles. New rooms take getting used to, she says. The lungs are the first to complain. That night you wake gasping. Your throat burns not with illness, but with dryness, like you've swallowed a spoonful of ash. You light your candle, hands trembling, and fumble for the water jug. Empty. You could swear you filled it before bed. You step carefully into the hall. Quiet, except for the coughing. It's everywhere now. You make your way to the kitchen. The tap hisses, then spits. Nothing comes. The kettle's gone again. You hear something behind you. Soft footfalls. You turn. No one except the door you've never seen before stands open just past the pantry. Inside, a narrow room barely the size of a cupboard, a bed, a table, a ledger. On the wall, a list of names and dates written in pencil. You squint. Your eyes are just. Each name is followed by a symbol, a triangle of dots or a single slash or nothing. Your name is not there, but you see the red kerchief girl's name, and beside it, a triangle, the same triangle from the card in your pocket. You step backward. A board creaks, and suddenly the door to that strange little room slams shut. You bolt upstairs, lungs heaving, and collapse into your room. The mirror fogs instantly like it's been waiting, and the wardrobe door, it's open an inch again. This time you don't close it, because part of you knows it didn't open by accident. Morning breaks slowly, if you can call it that. The light filtering through your window is more gray than gold, thick with city smoke and something less natural. You don't rise at first, you listen. Silence, no coughs, no footsteps. No door slams or hallway muttering. You sit up slowly, wary of the quiet. It's not the peaceful kind. It's the kind that presses down like a held breath. Your boots are still at the foot of your bed, but now they're dry and polished. You didn't polish them. You open the wardrobe just to check. Nothing inside at first glance. Then, nestled in the back corner, you see it. A small tin canister with a velvet ribbon tied around the lid. A tag dangles from the ribbon. One word, breathe. You open it. Inside, a dried bundle of herbs, lavender perhaps, and something else. Camphor charcoal dust. You sniff it cautiously. It smells like medicine or morning. You return to the hallway, half expecting to see the red kerchief girl. She's gone. Her door's open, her room is empty. No luggage, no shoes, not even the basin. Just a dent in the mattress shaped like someone sitting very still for a very long time. At the end of the hallway, the landlady's dusting a painting. It's of a ship at sea, its sails torn in windless air. She left early, the landlady says without looking at you. Where did she go? You ask. To a quieter house, she replies. One with better air. You swallow hard. Did she leave a note? No, the landlady says. Then she turns, smiling faintly. But she left her key. You glance down. She's holding it in her hand, and for a moment you're sure, absolutely sure, it's not the girl's key. It's yours. She drops it into her apron pocket and walks off. That night, the cough returns, but only one cough. Yours. It starts slow, a tickle, then a rattle, then a deep pull from the bottom of your chest, as if something inside you is being drawn up by invisible hands. You light the candle. The flame bends sideways, not from wind, from breath. You rush to the mirror. You look awful, but not because you're ill, because your reflection isn't matching you anymore. Your hands rise. The image lags, your mouth opens. The reflection doesn't until it does, and whispers. Breathe slower or shall come. You stagger backward. The wardrobe creaks. You spin around, but the door's still shut. Then a soft knock at your door. Polite, rhythmic, 3 taps. You know that knock now. It doesn't belong to a neighbor. It belongs to someone who never really leaves this house. You don't answer. The knock comes again. Then a voice. The landlady's. Room check. The doorknob turns, but you never heard a key. You lunge for the door and press your weight against it just as the knob turns. Click, twist, stop. On the other side, silence. Then her voice again. Soft, sing-song, syrupy. All tenants must permit entry for health and hygiene inspection. You say nothing. Refusal, she adds gently, counts as breach. The knob turns again, harder this time, but your body holds it shut. You don't even know why, only that letting her in now feels final. The pressure eases. Then her footsteps retreat slowly, not down the stairs, but past your door toward the far end of the hallway where the red kerchief girl used to stay. You exhale. Too soon, because you suddenly hear another door creak open, not hers, yours. Behind you, you turn. The wardrobe door is wide open. No sound, no wind, just open. And resting on the inside panel, hooked where a coat might hang, is a scrap of parchment, new, clean, folded once. You approach slowly and take it, unfold it, privies free. What? You blink. A joke, a warning, a trap. You slip it into your pocket and head down. Maybe you do need the privy. Maybe fresh air is the one thing this house can't trap. The backyard is still slick with rain and the stink of ash. The privy stands crooked in its corner, wooden door hanging slightly ajar. You glance around. No movement, no voices, no shoes. You step inside. It's exactly what you expect. Stone floor, cracked seat, a spider with more confidence than you. You bolt the door, sit. And there, scratched into the inside wall, is a message, barely visible unless the light hits just right. If you're reading this, she hasn't taken you yet. You freeze. Below that, another line. Look beneath the ash in the coal shed. You exit quickly, glancing back toward the main house, still silent. You cross to the small lean-to where coal is kept. The pile half used and covered in soot. You kneel, push your hand through the mess. Cold grit bites your fingers. Then something hard. A tin box sealed with a loop of rusted twine. You pry it open. Inside, folded pages, letters, fragments, receipts. A lock of red hair tied with blue thread. And at the bottom, a photograph faded, but clear enough. The red kerchief girl, smiling with the landlady standing behind her. Not in present day, not recently. The photograph is dated 1887. You blink. You have to be wrong. But the landlady exactly the same. A train whistle sounds faintly in the distance. You close the box, slide it back into the pile, and wipe your hands on your coat. And that's when you notice on your palm, in the black dust of cold ash, a triangle of 3 dots, as if someone pressed it there, or as if the house just left its signature. You scrub at your palm with your sleeve, but the triangle won't fade. It's not drawn. It's impressed, as though the soot settled into a mark that already existed beneath the skin, waiting to be revealed. You stumble back into the house, boots heavy with coal, dust, heart pounding in a rhythm that doesn't feel entirely your own. The hallway greets you with its usual blend of mildew, wallpaper, and disapproval. But now it feels different. You feel different. Watched, yes, but also tagged, claimed. Your door's open, wide. You didn't leave it that way. Inside, everything appears untouched. The bed still rumpled, the candle burned to a stub. But the mirror has changed. There are fingerprints now, dozens of them smeared across the glass, child-sized, not yours. And in the condensation at the top, someone has scrolled 3 crooked letters. J. H., the initials from the attic ledger. You sit on the bed. The wood groans beneath you in a tone you no longer believe is entirely natural. You need answers now. You head to the front room. The mustache gentleman is there again, sipping tea that no one brewed. You approach, holding out your ash-stained hand. What does it mean? He doesn't look up. It means she's noticed you. Who is she? You ask. At this, he does look up, and for the first time, you see something in his eyes. Fatigue that goes beyond sleep, beyond years, something ancient. She's not the landlady, he says. Not really. That's just the face she wears for us, for the ones who stay too long, who obey too well. You frown. I thought the rules were supposed to protect us. He smiles, sad and amused. No, the rules are how she learns at you. What scares you, what tempts you, what you'll do when the coal runs out. You sit beside him. The room's spinning just slightly. Why doesn't anyone leave? You ask. They try, but the house remembers. It finds them always. He lifts his cup to his lips, then lowers it. I was like you once, he says, new, sharp, curious. You glance at his suit, pressed and proper. You don't seem like the others, he chuckles. Because I'm not a tenant anymore, you hesitate. What are you then? His smile fades. I'm part of the house now. A long silence. Then he says quietly, go while it still lets you. You've seen too much, but maybe not everything yet. That's your only chance. You nod, heart racing. You stand. Step back into the hallway. You pass the landlady on the stairs. She smiles. But this time, so do you. Because now you're watching her, and you're starting to wonder if she's the one running this place or just another tenant who stayed too long. You spend the rest of the day pretending to read, pretending to nap, pretending not to notice that the mirror fogs every time you look into it, even when the air is cold and still. Pretending not to hear footsteps that stop just outside your door, then vanish. By nightfall, you've decided you're going to test the rules, not the printed ones, the real ones. You start with the bath. The house technically has one. An old tin tub kept in the kitchen cupboard beneath the stairs next to a sack of flour and a stack of mouse-bitten linens. According to the official rules, it's to be used only on Saturday nights and only after signing the bathing ledger. Tonight is Wednesday. You go down when the house is mostly quiet. One lodger snores, another shuffles cards alone. The landlady is nowhere to be seen. You find the tub easily, drag it to the hearth, which still holds the warmth of dying coals. The stove squeals as you coax it to life. You fill the kettle, then the second, then the third. The water steams gently. The house creaks in protest. You remove your boots shirt, lower yourself into the tub. It's too small, and the bottom is dented, but the warmth seeps into your skin like forgiveness until you hear it. The sound of fingernails tapping. Not outside. Inside the wall, behind the hearth. You freeze, then scrape. A dragging noise like something shifting just behind the plaster, something long and slow and close. You stand. The water sloshes, the kettle whines on the stove, the tapping stops. You wait 10 seconds. 20. Then, from directly behind you, a whisper right at your ear. It's not your turn. You spin around. Nothing. The water in the tub has gone still, completely still. You throw on your shirt, still damp, and retreat to the hallway. The ledger has been moved. It's now resting on the second stair, open to the page for Wednesday. Your name is there in ink. You didn't write it. The landlady steps into view at the top of the stairs, wearing the same black dress she's worn since the day you arrived. Her voice is calm. No bath tonight, she says. You nod. Back away. In your room, the mirror is already fogged. On it, a new word scrolled in backward letters. Greedy. You wipe it clean, then look at your reflection behind you. The wardrobe creaks open. You stare at the wardrobe. It doesn't move again, but it doesn't have to. The crack in the door is wide enough now to suggest invitation or warning. The inside is dark, too dark for the amount of light in the room. You should close it. You don't. Instead, you sit back on the bed wrapped in your damp shirt and think about what just happened. The bath, the voice, your name in the ledger. Someone or something is documenting your movements, not just watching, recording, which means the house isn't just sentient, it's bureaucratic. You laugh, a small, bitter thing. Of course, even supernatural forces in Victorian England can't resist paperwork. You pace the room for a while. The boards beneath your feet know your rhythm now and creak only at the end of each turn. You think about the ledger and about that second kettle, how it was already warm when you reached for it. Someone else was trying to bathe before you, but who? Most of the other lodgers are missing now, disappearing one by one, like dust brushed under the floorboards. You glance at the wardrobe again. It's still open. You grab a coat hanger from inside and prop the door wide. If something is going to come out, you'd rather see it coming. On the back panel of the wardrobe, something's changed. You lean in. A faint carving now runs across the wood grain, etched with something sharp. You run your fingers over it. It's another triangle, smaller this time with initials inside. J.H. again. You whisper the letters aloud and the mirror across the room fogs instantly. You step toward it. This time, no handprints, no backwards, just one image traced in the condensation. A teacup, the symbol of hospitality and of poison. You rush to the front room. The stove is alight. A kettle whistles. The mustache gentleman is gone. In his place, a single teacup sits on the table. Steam curls gently above it. You approach slowly. The landlady steps in from the hallway. No sound of her shoes. She's just suddenly there. She sees the cup. Someone's earned their reward, she says lightly. You don't touch it. She nods, pleased. Very good, she says, very wise. Then she walks away. You wait until she's gone, then pick up the cup and hurl its contents into the hearth. It hisses black against the embers. Back in your room, something's waiting. The triangle on the wardrobe has deepened, like it's been traced again. The mirror's blank now, and on your pillow rests a card. Same as before, 3 dots. But now a 4th has been added off to the side, not part of the triangle, separate alone. You hold it in your hand and understand. Someone new has broken a rule. This time, it wasn't you. And this time, the house is going to show you what happens next. The house is louder now, not in volume, but in presence. The floorboards seem to sigh longer when you walk across them. Doors creak open before your hand touches the knob. The mirror fogs in perfect sync with your thoughts. You no longer feel like a guest. You feel like a specimen under glass. The card with the 4th dot rests on your nightstand. You stare at it long after the candle burns low. It hasn't moved, but somehow it feels heavier. Someone else has broken a rule, and the house wants you to witness the result. You don't sleep, you listen. At some point in the small hours, the sound comes. Not a knock this time, a dragging, slow, irregular, with little jerks and scrapes in between, like something or someone being pulled. You slip from bed and open your door just a crack. The hallway is nearly pitch dark, save for the faint glow of a gas lamp near the stairs. Then you see it, a shape slumped on the floor, being hauled by the ankles. Head tilted back, hair brushing the floorboards, one arm dragging limply behind. The body vanishes into the stairwell, leaving behind nothing but the smear of something damp and colorless. You clutch the frame of the door, then movement. Another shape steps into the light, not the landlady, too tall, too thin. Its face is wrapped in cloth as though to hide the features or keep them from falling off. Its fingers are gloved, but the gloves are too tight, stretched over something bony. It pauses, sniffs the air like an animal, then looks directly at your door. You shut it, heart pounding, silence. Then gently a voice through the door. Not a whisper, not gravelly, clear. Feminine. It's your turn to watch, not to warn. You don't move until dawn. When you finally open your door, there is no trail, no drag marks, no damp. But the smell of camphor lingers faintly in the air, like old linen and funeral parlors. You descend to the kitchen. The stove is cold again. On the table, a new ledger, smaller, red cover. You open it. Inside, only one name. Room 5, breach, unauthorized letter, and beneath that, witness room 7. Your breath catches. They're tracking you too. Your silence, your compliance, your usefulness. Someone slipped a letter past the house, and you didn't stop them. In the front hallway, a small wooden box appears beside the stairs. It wasn't there yesterday. It's labeled outgoing. You open it empty, but the bottom is lined with claw marks, not from fingernails, from something else. A shadow passes behind you. You turn. The landlady is there wiping her hands with a cloth that's far too red for drying dishes. She smiles. Post is slow, she says, but the house always reads it first. Then she walks away. And for the first time, you realize this place doesn't just trap bodies, it traps words, it feeds on them, and it's starting to read you line by line. You spend the day in silence, not for lack of thoughts, but out of fear they'll leak, that somehow even your breathing will tell the house too much. The very walls seem to thrum now as though they're eavesdropping, listening for cracks in your resolve. In the hallway, a new smell has taken root, scorched paper and lavender, sweet and bitter all at once. You check room 5. It's sealed, not locked, sealed. A strip of yellowed parchment is glued across the doorframe, handwritten in black ink, redacted, no initials, no rent due date, just that one word. You knock once, softly. The echo dies before it reaches your ears. You retreat to your own room and shut the door carefully. Sit on the bed. The card with the 4th dot is gone. In its place, a new one. This one has 5 dots. Not in a triangle, not in a line. Scattered, frantic, like a handful flung ink onto the page in panic. You flip it over. 2 words. She knows. You exhale slowly. The game has changed. You're no longer a passive observer. You're part of the machinery now, and machinery doesn't sleep. You light a candle. Its flicker dances along the walls like shadows performing for an audience. You glance at the mirror, foggy again. This time, no symbols, no images, just a crack, a real one, jagged, like something struck from behind the glass. You lean in close and then, just for a second, you see a face that isn't yours. Female, hollow eyes, lips sewn shut. You stumble backward, knock over the chair. The crack vanishes. You wait for the house to respond. It doesn't. Instead, you hear voices in the hallway. 2 of them. Not tenants, not the landlady. Men, stern, clipped speech, government sounding. You press your ear to the door. Missing persons report. Too many coincidences. The attic, sir. We should. And then the unmistakable click of the attic latch. You throw open your door. The hallway is empty. No voices. No men. But now the attic door is ajar again. That same sickly triangle of rusted nails glinting in the dim light. You turn away, then stop. At your feet, a page torn from a ledger, still warm. You pick it up. It reads, Room 7, last compliant, observes well, may ascend. Your hands shake. You've been tested all along. Obedience, silence, witnessing. You look back at the attic, then down at the page, then back to the hallway. The landlady stands at the far end, pale, expressionless. She raises one hand slowly and taps her temple. Once, twice, 3 times, as if to say, think carefully. Then she disappears into the wall. Not a trick of light, not a hidden door. She simply folds into the plaster like a page being turned. You're no longer afraid of the attic. You're afraid of what happens if you don't go. Because the worst thing in this house is not being seen. It's being ignored. You don't remember deciding to go upstairs. Your legs make the choice for you. Step after step, the staircase stretching longer than it ever should, the air thinning as though the house is squeezing it from your lungs on purpose. Every board groans a warning. Every nail trembles. Still, you climb. The attic door is open, waiting. You pause at the top, staring into that same gray, dust-thick air. It smells not of decay, but of memory. Old linen, ink, and something faintly sweet, like sugar gone stale. This time, you bring a candle. The flame flickers but holds steady as though the house has decided to let you see. Inside, the room is almost tidy. The trunks are gone. The ledgers stacked neatly along one wall. A table stands in the center with 2 chairs. One is empty, one is not. The mustached gentleman sits across from it, hands folded neatly. He looks up when you enter and gives a small nod. Room 7, he says. You came back. You start to speak, but he raises a hand. No need to defend yourself. No one ever resists twice. You edge closer. What is this place? He gestures to the empty chair. Records, meetings, memory. Everything that was once living in this house comes here to be written down. You sit. The wood is cold and dust curls under your fingers. The ledgers on the table are labeled in tidy script. Names, rules, replacements. He flips open the top one. You see pages of handwriting, rows upon rows of dates, initials, notes in the margin, and near the bottom, J.H. mirror breach reassigned. Reassigned, you ask. He gives a small smile. Every house needs its caretakers. He closes the book slowly, reverently. When the landlady grows thin, someone takes her place. That's Rule 4, the one no one writes down. You stand so fast your chair nearly falls. She's not. She's not human. He chuckles softly. She's not one person. She's many, collected, preserved, poured into the walls, the floors, the rules. The house is her. She is the house. You feel dizzy. And me? He looks at you sadly. You're doing quite well. The candle flame gutters low. Something moves at the edge of the light. A figure thin and stooped emerges from the far corner. The landlady's shape, but her face is half shadow, half yours. You stumble backward. No. He doesn't move to stop you. Just sighs. She's tired, you see. Been here too long. The house likes fresh tenants. It feeds better when the caretaker still remembers what it's like to breathe. The figure steps closer. Her dress rustles like dry leaves. Her eyes, your eyes, reflect the candlelight in dull amber. "Time for inspection," she says. Her voice overlaps with your own. You drop the candle. The light dies. Darkness swallows everything but her outline. And when she reaches for your hand, you feel not skin but plaster, cool, unyielding, and final. You jolt awake in your bed. Sunlight, real, clean, golden, pours through the window. For a moment, you don't move. You watch the dust motes swirl lazily in the beam of light. Your heart hammers in your chest, but everything around you looks normal. No fog, no mirror fogging, no open wardrobe. Just your small, crooked room with its creaky floorboards and water-stained ceiling. You sit up slowly. Your clothes are folded neatly on the chair. Your boots, still scuffed, still yours, are by the wall. You rise, checking the wardrobe, closed, silent. The mirror clear. You reach out and touch it. Cool glass. No fingerprints, no delay. You exhale. Was it a dream? A fever? You step into the hallway. The gaslight glows steady. The wallpaper curls gently at the corners. Downstairs, someone whistles tunelessly. You catch the scent of toast. You descend. The front room is alive again. A young woman, new clearly, sits at the table, awkwardly stirring tea. An older man you don't recognize reads a newspaper upside down. Someone laughs. The landlady is nowhere to be seen. You approach the ledger on the mantel, open it. Names, rent due dates, all current. Then your name crossed out. Beside it, in a careful hand, promoted. You blink. You open your mouth to ask the girl at the table something, but she looks up first. You're the new landlady, aren't you? You freeze. She doesn't say it with fear, just curiosity, like she's trying to guess the name of a plant. You shake your head. I'm just a tenant. She smiles politely. But as you turn to leave the room, she says something quietly, more to herself than to you. That's what the last one said. You return to your room in a daze. The mirror is still clear, but your reflection looks off, not wrong, just not quite you. And when you speak aloud to hear your own voice, there's something else behind it. A cadence, not your own, a rhythm you've heard before. You laugh just to break the tension, and it sounds exactly like her. The next day, you find the ledger in your room, not the tenant ledger. The other one, red cover, heavy. It opens easily to a blank page. At the top, a space for a name, then room number, length of stay, final use. You stare at it for a long time, and then without really thinking, you pick up the pen that's been left on your pillow. You begin to write. The house sighs in approval. Somewhere downstairs, a knock at the door. A new lodger has arrived. The house welcomes its new tenant the same way it always does, with stillness and dust. You watch from the landing as he steps inside. Early 20s maybe, shabby coat, eyes that flick too fast as if he's already memorizing escape routes. The same expression you had when you first walked in. He doesn't see you. No one does now unless you want them to. The landlady's room is yours, though you haven't touched the bed. It smells like dried lavender and something older. The wardrobe in that room never opens unless you ask it to. The mirror doesn't fog anymore. You think that should comfort you? It doesn't. Downstairs, the new lodger signs the ledger. The pages flutter without breeze. The pen dips itself in ink. No one finds this strange. You watch him as he climbs the stairs. He stops on the third step, looks down, shakes his head, continues. He chooses room 3, the same room that was sealed, the one with the yellowed parchment redacted. Apparently, the house has decided it's ready to be used again. You observe his first night. He does all the things they always do. Opens the window, it won't close fully again, checks under the bed. Something clicks when he lifts the cover, unpacks too quickly, trying to claim the space before it claims him. You remember that instinct. You remember resisting. It didn't matter. Now you're the one the house speaks through, not in words, but in rules. You find yourself writing them without thinking, in margins, on napkins, etched into wood. They spill from you. No humming in the hallway. Do not strike matches after midnight. Never leave the ledger open overnight. Don't ask about the wardrobe. If you hear laughter behind your mirror, ignore it. The rules are always changing because the house is always learning. And lately it's been coughing again. At first you thought it was you, some memory of lungs, but no, it's coming from inside the walls. The new tenant hears it too. He starts boiling herbs, taping the edges of the window shut. He mutters to himself. You recognize the words, things you once said. That's how it starts. The fear, the mirroring. It's not long before he tries to leave. That's always the most delicate moment. You wait by the door as he gathers his things. The house has already jammed the lock. He rattles it, curses, steps back. You appear only slightly, just enough. Problem? You ask. He stares at you. He doesn't recognize your face. No one ever does. You smile gently. Sometimes the door sticks. You'll get used to it. You vanish before he can answer. Upstairs in the ledger, the ink dries under his name. Next to it, in smaller letters, monitored for breach. The house exhales. That night, you dream. But the dream isn't yours. You wake with the image of someone else's hands scrubbing coal dust from raw skin, of cold privy floors, of whispers from a wardrobe that hasn't been opened in 100 years. The dream belongs to one of the others, lodgers, past or present, or perhaps the house itself. You can't tell anymore. You rise and you know what you must do. The mirror is waiting, fogged, cracked in its old way. Just slightly it remembers. It always remembers. You pick up the small brush from the windowsill, the one you never placed there, and write in the fog with the handle's edge. Room 3. Observe. The mirror goes clear at once. You move through the house like thought, unseen. Down the hallway, past the crooked stair into the cramped passage where the bath ledgers are kept. You leaf through the pages. 3 names are written in yesterday's ink. One of them is the new tenant's. He took a bath on the wrong day. You smile faintly. Not cruel, just knowingly. It begins with small rules you've learned, ones they think don't matter. They always matter. In the kitchen, the fire has gone cold. That's another sign. The house is withdrawing warmth, testing. You open the stove door and find the kettle blackened at the bottom, warped by uneven heat. A single teacup sits on the floor nearby. It's upside down. You don't touch it. The house is trying to decide. Upstairs, you pass room 5 again, still sealed. The yellow parchment has faded to parchment gray. You pause and press your fingers lightly to the door. For a moment, you feel something press back, not from inside, from beneath. The new tenant is awake now. You hear him pacing. You hear him murmuring already. The mirror in his room is speaking to him. The lines always come in whispers. You shouldn't have taken the bread. You left the stove unlatched. You knocked 3 times instead of 2. The rules start to blur, then multiply. It's not about obedience. You learned that too late. It's about witnessing. The house wants you to see, to understand its hunger, its patterns, its rhythm. You're not punished for disobedience. You're punished for forgetting. And now someone else is forgetting. You return to your room and open your own ledger, the red one, not the rent book, the other one. Inside you write, Room 3, Stage 1, internal conflict, signs, paranoia, sleeplessness, refusal to mirror. Next evaluation, midnight. You set the book down. The ink dries before your pen leaves the page. The wardrobe creaks, not open, just a stretch, a yawn. It remembers too. You glance at the mirror. Your reflection is already seated, hands folded, waiting for you to catch up. You sit. It smiles. The candle goes out and the walls hum softly with satisfaction. Another day begins, another test, and the house is always watching. The next morning, a peculiar silence settles over the house. Not the usual sleepy hush of a London lodging house choking on fog, but something heavier, loaded. The kind of silence that follows an argument no one had out loud. You find it the moment you step into the hallway. The gas light isn't flickering. The wallpaper isn't curling. The floor doesn't creak beneath your feet. It's waiting. You descend to the ground floor. The front room is empty. The stove is cold. The kettle is missing again. But on the small writing table near the window where the ledger usually rests, there's something new. A second book, thinner, black cover, no label. You pick it up. Inside the pages are blank, all except the first, the lodger's ledger. Supplement non-payment accounts written in delicate script. You flip through names, dates, symbols in the margins, some triangles, some circles, and some smudged entirely out. You find your own name listed weeks ago, marked, settled, promoted. But it's what's scrolled in the margins beside the others that hold your eye. R. Holloway paid in silence. J. H. paid in reflection. M.L. paid in voice. Room 3, status pending. You run your finger over that last line and feel a vibration beneath your skin, a hum, low and itchy, as if your fingertips know something you don't. You close the book. Turn. The landlady is standing in the hallway, not watching you, reading you. Her eyes flick to your hands, to the black book clutched against your ribs. She says nothing, just nods once, then steps into the wall again, fading without flourish, like a memory you're not sure you really had. You return to your room. Room 3's door is still shut. The new lodger hasn't emerged. You decide to check. You knock. No answer. You knock again. Once. Pause. Then twice, just like the rules prefer. The door creaks open. The room is dark. You step inside. The window is shut. The mirror is shattered. The wardrobe is open, but empty. In the center of the floor sits a single item, a chair, and on that chair, a rent coin, shiny, untouched. You step forward, heart slowing, because the rent was never paid. Not really. The house doesn't want money. It wants memory. You lift the coin and examine it. One side is smooth. The other bears a mark, a triangle of 3 dots. Inside it, a fourth separate. You feel it now clearer than ever. The house doesn't punish disobedience. It punishes loneliness. The dots are people, or were. And that fourth one, the one apart, it's you still observing, still resisting, still outside for now. You leave room 3 and shut the door behind you gently this time. No sound, no echo. The coin remains in your pocket, heavier than any metal has a right to be. The dots etched into it throb faintly with warmth, like a living heartbeat tucked under brass. Back in your own room, the mirror is blank, not fogged, not cracked, just neutral, A surface waiting for a decision. You don't look into it. Instead, you turn to the wardrobe. You haven't opened it today. It's open anyway. Inside, hanging where no clothing ever dares remain, is a small black notebook tied with twine. It's been placed precisely, deliberately. The twine has 3 knots. You untie them without thinking. The pages smell like old matches and lilac. The writing begins halfway through. When memory runs out, the house chooses the best witness. You flip forward. Best witness becomes record keeper. Record keeper becomes mirror. Mirror becomes mouth. You pause. Then one more line. The mouth must be fed. The twine slips from your fingers suddenly. You understand why the mirror sometimes speaks even when it reflects nothing. Why the wardrobe opens when no one touches it. Why names disappear from ledgers but the house remembers. It's not punishing for fun. It's preserving. Every breach, every mistake, every unspoken fear, it all becomes part of the architecture. And once you become useful enough, the house uses you to speak itself. Downstairs, a door slams, then another. Footsteps rushed, heavy. You step into the hallway just in time to see the new lodger fleeing. Boots striking the steps in chaos, a satchel flapping open, breath ragged, panic sharp on the air. He reaches the front door, grabs the knob, yanks. Nothing. You could have told him. No one leaves unless the house lets them, but you just watch. He slams his fist against the wood, shouts something you can't quite hear, and then the floor swells beneath him. Not visibly, not physically, but it shifts like the house inhales beneath his feet. He falls, catches himself on the stair rail, stares at the mirror beside the door. It fogs, then clears, revealing not his reflection, but yours. He recoils, looks up at the ceiling like he understands too late, and the gaslight above him flickers out. When you return to your room, the ledger is open on your pillow. It has a new name inside. Room 3, vacant. Witness failed, recycled. Below that, room 7 maintains integrity. Voice developing. You set the book aside. The mirror waits. And this time, when you speak, the voice that answers back is not your own. It's hers. And she says, "Good girl." Something changes after that. The house relaxes just slightly. Its bones creak less, as if you've passed some invisible threshold. The mirror still fogs occasionally, but it no longer surprises you. The wardrobe no longer groans. The pages of the red ledger turn themselves. You've become part of the rhythm now, the heartbeat of the lodging house. But peace, as you've learned, is never free. You wake to the sound of boots on tile, sharp, regulated. Not the stagger of a drunk lodger or the shuffle of the coughing woman on the second floor. These are official footsteps. Policeman, you know it before the knock even comes. Bang, bang, bang. Not the soft 3-tap code of the house. This is foreign government interruption. You slip into the hallway before the others can react. The front door's open. 2 constables stand just beyond it, framed in daylight like statues brought to life. One of them has a notebook. The other has gloves. "Rent ledger," the first one says without greeting, "and your list of current lodgers." Your hand twitches. The landlady would normally handle this, but of course, you're the landlady now. You nod calm, professional. Of course, you fetch the rent book, not the red ledger, and hand it over. He flips through it with the same disinterest you once reserved for job listings and missed mail. "We received another report," he mutters. "Missing persons." The second officer glances around the hallway, nose wrinkling. This place always smells like vinegar and soot. You smile politely, only on good days. He smirks, then steps past you, scanning the walls, the stairs, the doors. They never see what they're supposed to. They never look up. The first officer points to a name in the book, R. Holloway. When did he vacate? You peer over his shoulder, pretending to think. A month ago, I believe. Left without notice. Common around here. He frowns. No forwarding address. No forwarding anything, you reply. He makes a note. Then the second officer calls out, "Is this sealed door normal?" You stiffen. Room 5. You keep your tone even. Structural issue. Waiting for a repairman. He nods and moves on. They leave not long after, muttering to each other about damp and how it's always these sorts of places. You close the door behind them, bolt it. The mirror in the hallway fogs over immediately. 4 words appear in your own handwriting. Do not trust uniforms. You sigh. I didn't. The fog fades, but the house isn't done. A moment later, you find something new at the foot of the stairs. Small, folded, a paper badge, police issue fresh. It hadn't been there before. You bend to pick it up, but hesitate. Instead, you knock on the stair tread beside it, twice, then wait. A whisper answers from beneath the floorboards. He's still here. You back away. The badge vanishes, and from somewhere within the walls a cough begins again. Wet, persistent, familiar. You look up toward the attic and understand. The house let them in, but it did not let them leave. That night, the house is quieter than usual, not peaceful, waiting. You stay in your room, candle unlit. The dark is gentler than the truth right now. Somewhere above you, the attic groans softly, like it's turning in its sleep or remembering something unpleasant. The mirror across from your bed has stopped fogging. It's not empty. It's alert, reflecting more than it should. When you move, your reflection hesitates. When you blink, it doesn't always follow. But the house wants something else from you now. Not obedience, not silence, judgment. You realize it when the mirror clears completely and a new message appears at the bottom corner in fresh black ink, despite no hand having written it. Room 4. Breach suspected. Verify. You resist just for a moment. Because even now, a part of you remembers what it was like to be the one watched, the one monitored, the one who didn't understand the rules until it was too late. But the house has no patience for sentiment. You hear a creak just behind the wardrobe, a reminder, so you obey. Room 4 is on the second floor. It used to belong to a seamstress with a sweet tooth and a collection of broken clocks. Now it houses someone else. Quiet, careful, but always too curious. You knock 2 times. Pause 1 more. The door opens a crack. A pale eye peers through. "Oh," he says, surprised. "Didn't think anyone made rounds at night." You smile gently. Health and hygiene inspection. He opens the door fully. The room smells of starch and cold mint, papers stacked everywhere, drawings, sketches of the house, its floor plans, cross-sections, secret spaces. He's been trying to map it. You step inside slowly. He watches you with a mixture of nervousness and pride. "It's not perfect, but I've tracked at least 3 hidden panels so far. I think there's something behind the wall between rooms 4 and 5. You glance at one of the sketches. He's right. There is something there. He's gotten too close. Have you shown anyone these?" You ask. He shakes his head. Didn't want them confiscated or worse, dismissed. He laughs awkwardly. "I know how it sounds, but this place, it shifts. Sometimes rooms don't line up the same way twice. You nod, then reach into your pocket, not for a weapon, for the red ledger. You open it slowly, flip past the folded pages, find his name. It's already there, written in ink you didn't place. Room 4, breach confirmed. Walls compromised. Disposition witness requested. And beneath it, your name. The line is blank. Waiting. You look up. The lodger is still explaining something about hollow beams and plaster dust, but his voice is muffled now, distant. The house is already removing him. You feel it in the air, the way the ceiling lowers slightly, the door darkens, the light drains from the corners inward, and then he stops speaking mid-sentence, his mouth still open like a skipped frame in a film. He's gone. The room is empty. Sketches still in place, papers untouched, but no man. Only the echo of what he almost discovered. You close the ledger, and as you step back into the hallway, you hear the door behind you seal shut. The wallpaper smooths itself, and from behind the plaster, something sighs. Thank you. The house is satisfied for now. You dream again, but this one is different. You're walking through the house, but it's upside down. The chandeliers are under your feet. The stairs spiral into the ceiling, and the rooms are labeled not with numbers, but with memories. Shame, guilt, fear, silence. In one, you see yourself curled into a corner, coughing. In another, you're already behind the ledger desk, staring out through mirror glass that no longer reflects. You wake to find a tray at your door. This is new. There's no note. Just a bowl of stew, a crust of bread, and a teacup steaming gently with a single red petal floating on top. You don't touch it. You've seen enough cups in this house to know better. Instead, you return to the ledger, the red one. The entries are shifting faster now. The ink dries before your eyes. You're no longer documenting. You're interpreting, deciding. This morning's entry is short. Room 6, rule dispute intervened, result pending. Room 7, authority confirmed, memory intact. Next assignment, observation, kitchen, the kitchen. The house wants you to look where no one looks anymore. You descend the stairs slowly, and for the first time in days you notice the house is hungry, not just metaphorically. The wallpaper is peeling in long tongue-like strips. The carpet has worn down in a perfect circle around the dining table. Even the gaslight over the stove flickers like a dying eye. And the tenants, they're whispering, huddled, their faces turned not toward one another, but toward the floor, as if the boards themselves might listen. You step into the room. Every fork on the table stops clinking. Someone mutters your name, not your real name, the one the house gave you. Landlady, you freeze. You never told them, but the house did. One of the women stands slowly. Her apron is stained. Her hands tremble. I saw what happened to the man from room 4, she says. I saw you go in and I saw you come out. You don't speak. She takes a step closer. You're the one deciding now, aren't you? Your hand tightens around the spine of the ledger. She smiles, not in fear, in defiance. I want to make a statement, she says. A complaint. She reaches into her apron pocket and pulls out a folded note. Hands it to you. The room holds its breath. You open it. Inside, written in careful block letters. I know about the red ledger. I've seen what's in the walls. I will not be silent. The candle flickers once, then twice, then out. In the sudden dark, a voice speaks. From the ceiling, from the floor, from inside you. Witness breach in progress. Commence restructuring. You open your mouth to warn her. Too late. The wallpaper behind her opens like wet paper. A shape emerges. Tall, faceless, wrapped in ledger pages. It reaches. The woman doesn't scream. She just steps backward into the dark and disappears. The wall seals shut. The kitchen returns to stillness. No one moves. You fold the note, place it into the ledger, and write beneath her name. Complaint received, memory filed, vacancy available. Then in your own hand, something you've never written before. Regret. Yes. You sit alone in the kitchen long after the others have fled. The candle is relit, the table reset. The teacup from your doorstep has appeared again, this time at your elbow, still steaming, the red petal drifting gently in the center. You still don't drink it. You place the ledger on the table and run your fingers down the latest entry. The words seem to shimmer, not from magic, but from memory. Like heat rising off a summer road, they shimmer because they're true. The house only records what it believes, and you're starting to believe it too. The rules were never fixed. The lines between punishment and preservation blur more with every name you write. You used to wonder what kind of intelligence the house held. Now you realize it doesn't think like a person. It thinks like a system, self-correcting, evolving. It forgets nothing, forgives rarely, and rewards only those who remember. And tonight, for the first time, you don't want to remember. You rise and walk back toward the stairs. You don't notice the painting in the hallway at first because there wasn't one before. It's of a dining table full of faceless people, all posed mid-bite. One figure at the head is raising a cup. Wearing your coat, you keep walking. Back in your room, the mirror is no longer flat. It bulges slightly at the center like glass under pressure. Your reflection moves before you do now. Its smile is too patient. You open the wardrobe. Inside the coat you haven't worn since your arrival hangs, freshly pressed. Beneath it, a pair of black leather gloves, not yours, but waiting. The house is dressing you for something. You feel it. When you check the red ledger, a new section has appeared, unlabeled, blank, waiting for your words. You hesitate. Then you write, I remember what it was like to be afraid. I remember what it was like to knock. I remember what it cost to speak, and I know what I've become. The page does not absorb the ink right away. It trembles, and then a new message writes itself beneath yours. Awareness confirmed, role stabilized, voice integrated. You snap the ledger shut, then stare at the mirror. The crack is back, and this time you know it isn't a flaw. It's a mouth. The voice that emerges from it is yours, a perfect replica. But the words it speaks are not. Tomorrow, room 2 will disappear. Prepare the replacement. You don't argue, you don't resist, but deep in your chest something folds inward. Some part of you that once hoped for escape, or at least for sleep. You lie down without changing. You dream of red paper, numbered keys. You dream of floors rearranging themselves, and you dream of knocking on your own door, asking to be let out. But no one answers because the house already has what it needs from you, a ledger, a voice, and someone to turn the page. The next day arrives not with sunlight, but with a silence so deep it rattles the cups on the shelf. Room 2 is already gone. You pass by the door as you descend the stairs. Where there should be a number, there is now only a smooth oval patch of wall. No handle, no hinges, no gap, just paint. Seamless, permanent. You don't stop to knock. You know better. At breakfast, the remaining tenants are quieter than usual. They glance at one another only when they think no one else is looking. Toast is chewed without sound. Tea is stirred without purpose. They're waiting for the next name. And whether they admit it or not, they know you'll be the one to write it. You do nothing to dissuade them. You return to your room and open the ledger. Inside, a single line already written in a fine black script. Replacement accepted. Below that, candidate room 10. Pattern disruption. You frown. Room 10. You didn't assign a new tenant there. The house did. You flip through the pages. Room 10's history is sparse. Notes from previous caretakers, some familiar, some written in languages you can no longer read. But the last entry is yours. Except you don't remember writing it. Watcher, listener, not yet obedient. You stare at the ink, fresh, wet, and then a knock. Not at your door. From inside your wardrobe, 3 gentle taps followed by a low voice. Male, calm. Permission to speak? You don't answer. The wardrobe creaks open slightly, just enough to show darkness. And within that darkness, a pale hand holding a folded sheet of paper. You take it. The hand vanishes. You open the note. I know you are not always the voice. I know the mirror mimics the strongest mind. And I know this house is not unbreakable. No name, no room number, but you know it came from room 10. You light a match, burn the note in the saucer by the bed, and breathe in the smoke like incense. The house doesn't respond. Not right away. But the mirror ripples once, then settles. You go downstairs. Room 10 is at the far end of the second hallway, past the cracked window and the stair that always groans one step too late. You knock, 2 taps, pause, 1 more. The door opens. The man inside is young, 20s maybe. His face is familiar in the way everyone's face here eventually becomes. His expression is composed, but his hands are clenched into fists behind his back. "You're early," he says. You tilt your head. "You expected me?" He nods. "I left the note and the tea and the ledger entry." You narrow your eyes. "I didn't expect you to admit it." He smiles. "I'm not afraid of the house." You step inside. The walls of room 10 are covered in charcoal markings, notes, arrows, drawings of the architecture like an autopsy in progress. He's been mapping the house from inside. Why? He shrugs. "Because it watches, and I like to watch back." You feel something shift in your chest. This isn't defiance, it's curiosity. And the house doesn't know what to do with that. Not yet. You sit on the edge of his bed, and for the first time in your entire tenancy, you ask, "What do you want?" The man from room 10 studies you for a long moment before answering. His gaze doesn't flicker, doesn't defer. He's not frightened of you. He's testing you. You remember that feeling. You used to have it once before the house sanded you down to obedience. Finally, he says, "I want to leave." And I think you do too. The words hit like a crack in glass. You laugh softly. You don't understand. No one leaves. He stands calm. That's what they said about the workhouse, about the mines, about the plague wards. But people did. Someone always finds the hole in the wall. You almost admire him. Almost. But admiration is dangerous here. You glance at the mirror above his mantel. It's blank, too blank. The house is listening. "Be careful what you say," you whisper. "I am careful," he replies. I don't say it out loud. He pulls a small scrap of paper from his sleeve and presses it into your hand, written in faint charcoal, barely legible. When the house breathes, count 3, then step. You frown. What does that mean? He smiles. You'll see. You've been listening to its heartbeat for so long, you don't even hear it anymore. The house groans suddenly, loud enough to shake the ceiling. Plaster flakes drift down. The gaslight flickers. He's right. The house is breathing slow, rhythmic. The boards swell, then ease like lungs. You both freeze. The mirror ripples once. A single phrase scrolls itself across its surface, breach escalating. The air thickens. The wardrobe door slams open by itself, and the smell of damp ink floods the room. Pages from unseen ledgers swirl like moths. From the hallway comes the landlady's voice, your own voice, calling steadily. Inspection, room 10. You look at him. He's already moving, sweeping the papers off his walls, shoving them into a canvas satchel. You can't run, you hiss. He looks over his shoulder. Then, walk fast. The door handle twists. You grab his arm, pull him toward the opposite wall. He stops. There's no exit that way. There wasn't, you say, until someone drew one. You press your palm against the wallpaper where his charcoal lines form a crude doorway. The wall trembles under your touch, pliant for the first time in years. The house is inhaling. 1, the wardrobe groans. 2, the mirror cracks. 3, you shove him through the wall. It gives softly, completely, then closes. The hallway falls silent. The landlady's footsteps stop outside the door. Inspection complete, she asks from the other side, her tone smooth, almost gentle. You stare at the blank wall where the man stood. The chalk mark is gone. The satchel, too. Yes, you say. The door opens. Your reflection steps inside, not from the mirror, but from the threshold. She smiles. Your smile. You're improving, she says. And when she leaves, you whisper to the empty wall. Run. The house sighs, low and uneasy. For the first time, you realize it can't tell which side of the wall you're on anymore. The house does not like confusion. It thrives on patterns, obedience, repetition, rules etched in fog and whispered through mirrors. But now something is off. You're off. It begins to show. The gaslight in your room starts flickering in Morse-like rhythms. The floorboard beneath your bed now creaks twice with every step, not once. The mirror, it doesn't fog anymore. It smiles. A hairline curve at the bottom of the glass. Not quite a crack, not quite a warning. You return to the ledger, expecting to find the next assignment waiting. Instead, the page is blank. That's never happened before. You wait 10 minutes, still blank. You turn to the wardrobe, open it. Inside, the coat and gloves are gone. In their place, a single pair of shoes, men's, scuffed, wet. You close the wardrobe slowly. The hallway outside your room hums low and sickly like the beginning of a fever. You know that sound. It's the house trying to correct itself. Something is wrong in the structure, and it's coming from you. You've let someone escape, and it doesn't know where the crack is, so it will test every seam. The first seam, room 8. A small child lives there now, or someone trying very hard to seem childlike. She draws on the walls with chalk, never speaks, and hums songs that don't exist outside this building. You pass her room, pause. The door's ajar. A piece of chalk rolls out. You stoop to pick it up and see what she's drawn. A stairwell, not the one in the house. A spiral staircase made of keys, each one different, each one numbered. Your fingers tremble. She hums behind the door, then says, "Clear as a bell. You used to climb those too." You don't respond. You walk on. The second seam, room 9. It's empty. Always has been, but today the door's open. You step inside. The room is dark, windowless, the air thick as syrup. On the floor, a row of chairs, all facing a blank wall. You know this room? It wasn't here before. It's from the dream. The upside-down house, the labeled rooms. This one was called Memory. Each chair has something on it: a coin, a glove, a teacup, a ledger page, a mirror shard, and on the last chair, a note. Choose one. Lose one. You understand now. The house doesn't just trap people, it makes them choose which part of themselves to leave behind. You back out of room 9 and shut the door carefully. The wallpaper seals over it as if the room was never there. In the hall, you hear footsteps. You expect to see a reflection, but it's not you. It's him. The man from room 10, soaked to the skin, bleeding from one ear, but walking. He looks at you, eyes wide. You lied, he says. You said there was a way out. I didn't lie, you reply softly. I just never left. He opens his mouth to answer, and from behind him the wall rips open. The house has found the crack, the one you made, and now it's going to seal it. The wall splits like rotted canvas, soundless, clean. Plaster peels in thin strips, curling like paper under flame. And from within that impossible seam, the house sends something new. Not a hand, not a voice, not the landlady. A shape vast and shifting, as if the mirror and the ledger and the ceiling had merged into one body, one mouth, a thing made of records stitched from rent slips, refusal letters, chalk marks, ledger lines, and gas-like reflections. And at the center of it, pulsing, is a red dot. Alone. The fifth. The you. The man from room 10 doesn't run. He looks at you quietly like he expected this. I saw this in the stairs of keys, he whispers. I knew the house would call it back. The shadow of the house reaches for him. You step forward before you realize what you're doing. Your hand extends between them. Take me, you say. The shape pauses. The house hesitates. The mirror in room 9 fogs instantly, though no one's inside. Then your own voice, sharp and cold, emerges from the walls. Invalid offer. Role already occupied. Damage must be balanced. The shape shifts. Begins splitting. One half for you, one half for him. This is the price. Not for breaking a rule, but for breaking symmetry. Because now the house doesn't know who the voice belongs to anymore. The man grips your wrist. There's still time, he says. The rules are mirrors. What they show isn't always what they mean. You stare at him, unsure whether he's saving you or dooming you. But he's right about one thing. Everything in this house has been about mirrors. You turn to the nearest one. It's just glass this time. Truly just glass. No face, no fog, no message. You pick up the shard from room 9, wrap it in your sleeve, and slam it against the mirror on the wall. The mirror shatters. The walls scream, not aloud, but through every room. The lights go out, the floors tremble, the mirror network. The house's nervous system is bleeding. You grab the man's arm, pull him, run. The house begins to collapse in its own way. Not physically, no, more cruel. It begins to erase. Room numbers fade. Floorboards vanish under your feet mid-step. Hallways elongate. Doors multiply, spin, blur. The house is rewriting itself as fast as it can, trying to lose you inside its own memory. You shout over the roar of silence. Count 3, then step. The man nods. You both stop. Breathe. 1, the floor hums. 2, the wallpaper cracks. 3, you step and fall through the wall like stepping through paper. You land in a crawl space. Dust, pipes, dead air. And at the far end, a ladder, Old iron set into stone. Going up, you climb. You don't look back. At the top is a trap door. You push it open, and for the first time in longer than you remember, the air's clean. Night wind, rooftops, the stars, the real stars. You climb onto the tiles, panting, broken, awake. The man follows. You both lie there, flat against the slanted roof, lungs heaving. He turns to you, breathless. You got out. You stare up at the sky. No, you whisper. I got the house to forget. You lie on the roof, blinking up at the stars like it's your first night under them. Maybe it is. The tiles beneath you are cold and slick with soot, but they don't breathe. They don't whisper. They don't watch. Just dead stone, baked in 1,000 London days and rained on through 1,000 nights. The man beside you is silent for once. You both listen, not for voices in the walls, but for their absence, and then a door slams far below. A scream rises, not of pain, of eviction. You both sit up at once. Below, on the cobbled street, the house's front door is burst open. Its hinges shriek as it exhales, not smoke, not fire, but belongings. A trunk, a tea tin, a stack of letters tied with string, a worn glove, a toothbrush, all flung onto the street like discarded groceries. Then a final sound. Something soft. A blanket. A bundle. You know what it is before you look. An evicted tenant. You can't see the face from this height, but you recognize the posture, curled, shivering, clutching, nothing. The house has made its decision. You look at the man beside you. He's already standing. Who was it? He says. You already know. Room 11. The woman who never spoke, who only blinked twice when spoken to, the one who embroidered words into pillowcases and left them under other doors. She knew something, and she never asked permission to share it. Now the house has removed her, not taken, just rejected. The worst punishment of all. Because once it rejects you, the world outside doesn't know you were ever inside. You start to climb down the fire escape. The man follows. Halfway down, you stop because the fog is returning. Thick, slow, intentional, not weather memory. You reach the bottom. The bundle of belongings is still there, but the tenant is gone. Just gone. No sound. No mark. The man steps forward, lifting a pillow from the heap, embroidered into the seam. She's listening to you now. You turn back toward the building. It looks the same, but it isn't. The windows don't line up. The number above the door is gone. And where once there were gas lamps, now hang strange paper lanterns burning not with fire, but with a soft white glow that pulses faintly in sync with your own breath. The house has changed, not in form, in function. You didn't destroy it. You woke it. You feel it deep in your chest. A rhythm, a call. The house isn't angry. It's curious. You tried to run. It's wondering what you'll do next. The man looks at you. We can leave right now. You want to believe him, but your fingers are already tracing a pattern on the brick wall behind you. A triangle, then a dot, then a second. It forms on instinct, on memory, because deep inside, even if you walk away, the house has already moved in with you. You try to sleep tucked in a corner of an alley 2 streets over, using your coat as a blanket, and the man silences company. He hasn't spoken since you left the house behind. Maybe he thinks you're safe now. Maybe he wants to believe you both are. But you know better because the fog followed you. It didn't roll in like weather. It crawled low to the ground, thick around your ankles, pooling in doorways, curling around windows like fingers, and you feel it breathing. You close your eyes anyway, pretend for a while, but the dream still comes. You're back in the house, only now it's taller, endless, each floor repeating the last but slightly off. A stair that squeaks when it didn't before, a door that opens inward instead of out, a mirror that shows the wrong expression. You're not walking, you're rising. Each floor a memory. Your mother's voice calling you for tea, the day you first arrived in London, your first knock on the landlady's door. Except this time the knock is answered by you. You wake with a gasp. The man is gone. You sit up fast, look around. Nothing but milk-colored fog and the faraway hum of carriages. You call out twice. No answer. Then you hear it, the sound of something wet striking stone, drip, drip, drip. You follow it, turning corners that feel too sharp, alleys that shouldn't be there, and finally you see it. A ledger resting on a crate open, its red cover damp with dew or blood. You can't be sure. You approach. The page is blank except for one line. Re-entry permitted. Roll unstable. Mirror incomplete. And beneath it, we require you. You spin around. The street is gone. The man is gone. Only the crate remains. The ledger, the fog, and a door freestanding in the alley. No walls around it, just a door numbered. Not room 7, not even room 1, just 0. The fog pulses behind you. The door creaks open. Inside darkness and a single chair upholstered in red, your color. The mirror doesn't wait this time. It grows behind the door, floor to ceiling, reclaiming its space like ivy on brick. In the reflection, you see the man from room 10, but he's not outside. He's already seated in the room behind the mirror. He meets your eyes, raises his hand, taps 3 fingers against the glass. 1, 2, 3. The house is inviting you back, not because it caught you, because it missed you. And now as you stand alone, the truth curls around your thoughts like fog around your feet. You didn't escape the house. You taught it how to follow. You hesitated at the threshold of the freestanding door. Behind you, London hums, a fog-muffled orchestra of carriage wheels, hawkers calling half-heartedly, chimneys coughing black into an already gray sky. Ordinary, familiar, but distant, like you're hearing it through cotton in front of you. Nothing but that red chair, the mirror, and the silence of an invitation. The door doesn't close. It doesn't need to. It waits. Your fingers brush the frame, and the air shifts, not colder, sharper, like memory turning brittle in your hands. You step through. No sound, no falling sensation, just arrival. You're back in the house. But it's not the house. Not entirely. The walls are the same wallpaper pattern, same boards underfoot, same dusty brass sconces, but there are no rooms, no hallways, just one long corridor with mirrors on both sides stretching into forever. Each mirror holds a version of you, some in tenant garb, some with the red gloves, some wearing nothing but shadows and a number pinned to your chest. You walk. Each step echoes twice. You look at one mirror. Your reflection grins, not cruel, not kindly, just knowingly. Ahead, the corridor ends in a stairwell, stone this time, spiral, the steps worn in the center by hundreds of cautious feet. You descend. The deeper you go, the warmer it gets. By the time you reach the landing, the air smells like tea and scorched paper. The room beyond is small, familiar. It's the first room you ever stayed in. Room 7, but different. The wallpaper is new, the mattress is plump, The wardrobe hums faintly but doesn't creak. And the mirror, it's whole, uncracked. You approach it slowly. Your reflection is waiting, dressed in your old clothes, dusty skirt, worn boots, collar askew. She looks tired, like someone who's been searching for a door that doesn't exist. You touch the glass, she touches it too. A heartbeat behind, still not perfect. You turn to the desk. There's a note on it written in your own handwriting. You don't remember writing it. If you're reading this, the house has made its offer. It doesn't want obedience anymore. It wants authorship. You blink. Underneath the second line, the red ledger is now yours. Write carefully. It's listening. The room begins to pulse. The mirror fogs. And across its surface in delicate script, section read, begin entry. You sit at the desk. A pen waits. You open the new ledger, its cover embossed with a triangle and 5 dots. You touch the first page, and you feel the others, every tenant, every watcher, every voice, all humming beneath the paper. You think about the man from room 10. You think about the girl with the chalk. You think about her, the version of you that never left. And you write, Entry 1. The house is no longer a trap. It is an archive. The mirror smiles and the wardrobe creaks, not in warning, but in approval. You stay in room 7 for what feels like hours, though time in the house has always been more of a suggestion than a law. The air is still. The light from the gas sconce flickers gently, rhythmic, as if breathing alongside you, not hostile, not cold, just aware. You finish your first page in the red ledger and close it softly. The cover is warm to the touch, as though it remembers being held. From across the room, the mirror hums. A new word appears, scrolled in reverse across the glass. More. You sigh, not with exhaustion, but with understanding. The house doesn't need watchers anymore. It needs witnesses. And more importantly, it needs storytellers. You open the wardrobe. Inside, the familiar coat hangs again. Long charcoal gray pockets lined with items you haven't carried in years. A stub of chalk. A torn page from the first ledger. A key without a number. Beneath the coat lies something new. A small box. Inside, a brass token engraved on both sides. One reads tenant, the other keeper. You pocket it without hesitation. Your footsteps echo down the spiral stairs again. But the levels have changed. Rooms no longer lead to corridors. They branch outward like a map folding in reverse. Each step takes you past a memory that isn't yours. A man shaving in a bowl of ice. A woman boiling milk to erase ink. A girl feeding breadcrumbs to a floorboard. All tenants, all archived. You reach a hallway you've never seen before. The walls are lined with doors, each one ajar, each one numbered with symbols instead of digits. You step into the first. The room contains nothing but a rocking chair and a radio whispering static and rhythm with your breath. The second room, a bathtub filled with folded letters. The third, a bed that hums lullabies in your childhood voice. None of this is for you. None of it belongs to you. You're only passing through now, recording, not altering. You jot each scene in the ledger. Short entries, quick impressions. The more you write, the lighter your steps feel. You reach the end of the hall. There's one last door, unlabeled. When you enter, you recognize it instantly. The tea room, but instead of rows of tenants, it's full of mirrors, dozens lined up on the tables like teacups, all facing the center. And in the center, a chair, red velvet, empty until you sit in it. And then, without movement, the mirrors begin to show your face. Not just now, all your faces. The hesitant tenant, the red-gloved watcher, the dreamer who almost escaped, the writer, the woman who taught the house how to change. You don't flinch, you smile, because finally it's clear. The house never needed obedience, it needed memory, and you've become its librarian. Somewhere deep in the foundations, a voice whispers, not from behind the walls, but from inside your spine. The fifth is awake. The house has softened, not in form, but in tone. Where once it bristled at touch, punished curiosity, and hissed secrets through the walls, now it listens, or rather you listen, and it echoes back. You test this the next morning, if it is morning at all. The light in the corridor flickers to a gentle gray, as if mimicking dawn out of politeness. You speak aloud. Show me her room. No name, no number, but the house understands. The wallpaper shifts. A door appears precisely where the corridor had just ended. It's narrow, blue, unassuming. You step inside, and there it is. The room of the girl with the chalk. She's not there, but everything else is. The cracked slate she used to draw the mirror runes, the bundle of thread she'd kept tucked in her sleeve, the scratch symbols on the inside of the bed frame, one for each tenant she'd warned. You touch one of the marks. It vibrates softly as if recognizing you. You sit on the edge of her bed, pull out your ledger, and write her name or what you think it might have been. Chalk Girl. The moment you finish the last stroke, the room brightens. Her story is safe now, and so the room lets go. The chalk marks dissolve. The slate splits in two cleanly. The bed sighs. The house doesn't hoard anymore. It remembers through you. You return to the corridor. Another door forms, this one red, tall, heavy. You open it, expecting another memory, but instead you find something else. A hallway lined with ledgers, not yours, thousands of them. Spines labeled with strange codes, years, names, symbols you can't decipher yet. The air buzzes with recognition. This isn't the archive, it's the registry. Every tenant, every watcher, every room, every roll. You run your hand across a nearby shelf, pull a volume at random. It hums against your palm. You open it. The pages are blank. Then, slowly, they begin to fill. Ink crawling across them like frost, not words, images. You alone in room 7. Then again, red-gloved walking the stairwell. Then again, scribbling in the ledger, watched by mirrors. You flip forward. More scenes, ones you haven't lived yet. You close the book quickly. The house doesn't just remember, it foresees. You place the ledger back on the shelf, hand steady, but heart racing. For a long moment, you just breathe. And then you understand this isn't just about survival anymore. It never was. You're no longer a tenant or even a watcher. You're something new, something the house hadn't planned for, an editor. You walk deeper into the registry. The corridor curves, not in space, but in memory, as if time itself is coiled inside the house's spine. You run your fingers along the ledges as you pass. Each one responds differently. Some grow warm, some flicker with sound. One even hums a lullaby you can't place, but feel you've always known. And then you find his book. Room 10. The man with the quiet eyes and ash-dark coat, the one who climbed the roof with you, who said nothing at all but always knew his ledger is thinner than the others. You open it. Inside only one page. Your name. Nothing else. You stare. Is it a warning? A memory? A beginning? You turn the page blank. but in the bottom corner, a fingerprint smudged in soot, and beneath it, scratched in pressure instead of ink. I didn't escape. I stayed so you could. Your throat tightens. You don't cry. You can't. The house won't allow it. Not here. It doesn't punish tears, but it swallows them, makes them quiet, folds them into wallpaper. You whisper his name, not aloud, not even in your mind, but somewhere deeper. The shelf beside you shifts. A new ledger slides forward. This one bears your initials. The spine is still growing. You replace the man's ledger gently, like placing a book on a friend's grave, and move on. You reach the heart of the registry, a single pedestal. On it, a mirror, round, framed in brass, fogged just slightly. You wipe it, but the reflection is not yours. It's the house's. You see it from above. Every room, every stairwell, every corridor spiraling inward like a great clockwork shell. You watch doors appear and vanish. You see tenants walking through rooms you never knew existed, and above it all, one symbol pulses in the air, a triangle with 5 dots. And then it hits you. You're not the first editor. The registry has 5 ledges bound in red leather. 4 are full. The 5th is yours. Each editor came before you. Each tried to map the house to tame it, and all of them failed or maybe changed because the ledgers don't end. They keep writing even when their owners vanish. The house doesn't delete. It continues. You stare into the mirror. Your reflection returns. Not you in the coat, not you with the gloves, just you. Tired, curious, becoming. You step back, and behind you, the registry begins to hum. Thousands of ledgers glow faintly, each with a story, each waiting. You realize then you are never trapped in the house. You're being invited not to live in it, to write it. The house isn't haunted, it's authored, and tonight it's your turn. You leave the registry not with the sense of finality, but momentum. The house feels different beneath your feet now, not alive, but awake. Its wood no longer creaks with resistance, but with rhythm, like a heartbeat sinking to your steps. You don't follow a hallway, you choose one, and it obeys. The corridor opens into the grand stairwell once more. You descend, not spiraling, but straight. Each step down, unfolding a new layer of story. The mirrors that once reflected only your fear now flicker with images. Tenants laughing over stale bread, a woman whispering poems into a teacup, a boy drawing a doorway in chalk and stepping through it barefoot. You reach the bottom and the tea room is waiting. Empty chairs, full cups, steam curling like question marks. At the center, your chair. You sit, not because the house asked you to, but because it's yours now. You open the red ledger. The final page is blank. You hesitate, then write. The house no longer chooses its keepers. It listens for them, and when it finds one, it makes room. The gaslight above your head flutters once, then steadies. A mirror across the room flickers to life. It shows a child you've never seen before. Wide eyes, scraped knees, a satchel stuffed with crumpled sketches. They look around, cautious. Then they see the mirror. They walk toward it. And on the other side, they see you sitting in the tea room, writing in the red ledger. They don't wave. They nod as if they understand everything already. The mirror fogs, the image fades, and you feel it. The next one is coming. You close the book. Stand. And as you do, the chairs rise with you. Hundreds of them, all the tenants, all the watchers, all the editors standing silently, side by side, not ghosts, not memories, just roles acknowledged. You walk through them. They part as if in procession. You reach the first door, room 1 open, not for you, but for them. The new one, the next voice. You touch the frame and carve a symbol, not a number, just a small triangle with 5 dots, and beneath it, entry. Welcome. You don't walk back to your old room. You don't need to, because your room is no longer bound to wallpaper or floorboards. It's wherever you carry the ledger, and tonight you carry it into the attic. You've never dared go this high before. The stairwell here is narrow, the ceiling slanted. Dust hangs in golden shafts of gaslight. There are no mirrors, no doors, just you and the thrum of the house listening. You push open the final hatch. The attic breathes, not with ghosts, but with paper. Dozens of ledgers, unfinished, forgotten, illegible, float in midair like lazy birds. Each one catches the light differently. Some glow faintly, others drip ink into the air as if still bleeding their stories. You hold yours close, and the others bow just slightly, acknowledging you, not as ruler, but as one of them, a voice among many. You find a space near the broken window where the night seeps in through the cracks. You sit cross-legged, ledger open on your knees. The pages flip themselves one by one, then stop blank. A soft wind tousles your hair. You don't need to write now. You just watch. Outside, fog creeps up the street like it's late for curfew. A bell tolls in the far distance. Somewhere down by the docks, a cat yowls from a nearby rooftop, chased by something unseen. But inside, stillness. A kind of peace the house never used to allow. You close your eyes, and for the first time in all your days as a tenant, you don't wonder if the house is safe. You know, because you're no longer trapped in it. You are it. The watcher, the archivist, the fifth. From now on, no tenant will be forgotten, no memory erased, no red ledger left unwritten. You breathe in dust and stories and old varnish, and whisper into the floorboards, "Come in, there's room." The house exhales in return, and far below, the door creaks open for someone new. The house quiets again. Its walls no longer whisper, they breathe. You can almost feel the warmth of every memory settling back into place, dust into dust, paper into silence. The red ledger rests heavy but content on the small wooden table beside you. Somewhere downstairs, a floorboard sighs the way old wood does when it finally stops waiting. You sit by the window and let the fog outside thicken until it softens everything. The gaslight, the rooftops, even your thoughts. The house has its rhythm now, steady and calm, no longer hungry. You listen to it the way one might listen to a sleeping creature, not afraid, not alert, simply aware. It's strange, isn't it, how something so cold and stern could learn peace. But that's how stories work. They begin with fear and end in remembering. Every creak, every shadow, every rule whispered through the walls was just a way of teaching you to listen, to see what was always there. You close the ledger one final time. The spine hums softly under your palm as if thanking you. Outside, dawn slips quietly through the fog, turning it from gray to silver. A new day begins, another tenant story waiting to be written, another breath in the endless rhythm of this strange, gentle house. You lean back, listening to the heartbeat of the walls, slow and warm and human now. The mirrors are clear, the floors are still. Everything that needed to be said has been spoken. So, rest easy. You've kept your promise. The house remembers, and so do